Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all got some rest and enjoyed some of the festivities going on around campus. Let's continue our aberrations lecture with our next creature, beholders. Beholders are perhaps the most deadly of the great aberration races. They are certainly one of the most distinctive and unusual in appearance. The original beholders are said to have been spawned on one of the outer planes by a primal entity as powerful as a deity. This creature has no name, and its children have no need to generate one for it. To others, it is known only as the Great Mother, a name granted more for the fact that the creature spawned the entire beholder race from its very flesh than for any real certainty that it's female. Some scholars believe they were birthed from an explosion of cancerous energy from the weave itself, essentially a snarl that collapsed in upon itself, forming an incredibly dense and energetic sphere of energy. No matter its origins, the beholder race and its various kin have propagated to the other planes with great success, for few can stand in the way of such destructive creatures. Although beholders might look like relatively simple creatures, they are in fact complex and alien in nature. Some of their features and internal organs have similar shapes and functions to those found in other creatures, but many of them are wholly unique to these terrible monstrosities. A beholder's body appears on the outside quite simple. It consists of a single sphere, about 8 feet wide, but it's not until you find a specimen slightly smaller, even much larger, that you see that there's quite a range in the size of these things. A beholder's natural buoyancy cuts down on its weight somewhat, but their bodies are still dense and compact. An 8-foot diameter beholder typically weighs somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. A beholder's skin is the strength of steel. Apart from the specialized skin of the eyelids and along the jaws, their skin is singularly inflexible. Coloration and texture varies widely from one beholder to the next. Some have smooth, almost shiny skin of a single drab color, while others have brightly colored or even striped or spotted skin that seems to be comprised of thick, bony, interlocking plates. Each beholder thinks of itself as the true form spawned eons ago, and any variations exhibited by other beholders are taken to be marks of inferiority. The flesh of a beholder's eye stalks is tough and fibrous, but unlike the skin that covers its body, this skin is quite flexible. On most beholders, each eye stalk is smooth and rubbery, almost like a tentacle. Again, there can be much variation. Some beholders have eye stalks similar to a worm's body, while others have articulated, almost insect-like stalks composed of numerous knuckles and digits that can rotate and bend in any direction. The beholder's mouth performs the same functions as a human's. It has a tongue, soft upper and lower palates, and upper and lower teeth. A beholder's teeth are long, thin, and sharp, designed for ripping and tearing. A beholder's sensory organs are, for the most part, not quite as acute as a humanoid's. Their sense of touch has atrophied nearly to the point of uselessness, except for the surface of the tongue. Beholders use their tongue to feel objects, since this fleshy muscle is quite sensitive. One thing it's not well suited for, ironically, is taste. Beholders have no sense of taste whatsoever, which might explain why they eat anything that falls prey to them. Beholders detect sense through thousands of minuscule openings called spiracles over the surface of their bodies, and it is through those openings that they also breathe. Of the 4 non-visual senses, only a beholder's hearing approaches that of a human's. Beholders typically have a dozen small tympanic membranes at almost random spots across their bodies. Each is merely an inch in diameter and impossible to see except upon the closest examination. Of course, beholders' non-visual senses are so rudimentary primarily because their eyes are so much more developed. Its multiple eyes are a beholder's most notable and feared anatomical feature. In addition to providing the creature with all-around vision, the eyes can be used to aim, direct, and emit powerful supernatural effects. These effects aside, the eye of a beholder is a wondrous and complex organ that has long been the obsession of countless sages and wizards. A beholder's eyeball is remarkably hard and solid, about as strong as a similarly sized ball of stone. While at rest, the eyes have a round, brilliantly colored iris. The iris seems to be some sort of translucent crystal consisting of hundreds of interlocking sheaves, each of which is capable of independent movement. This allows a beholder amazing control over the shape of its iris and the amount of light that is allowed to enter the eye. A beholder can adjust its iris to almost any shape imaginable, and can even expand it to the rim of its eye socket to give the appearance of having no iris at all. Curiously, a beholder's eye doesn't have a single lens. Rather, an eye can have as many as a dozen differently sized and shaped lenses, all capable of independent rotation and movement, and linked to the movement of the iris. By adjusting these lenses and the iris, a beholder can aim with its eye ray. The numerous lenses have the added effect of granting the creature exceptional vision. All beholders possess the ability to see in the dark, and in brightly lit conditions can count the legs of the mosquito at over 4 times the distance of an average human. The interior of a beholder's eye is a tangled mess of transparent, nearly invisible strands of nervous tissue called evocularies. Each evoculary feeds directly into one of the eye's 3 retinas and anchors an iris sheath, a lens, or both. The evocularies not only aid in the movement of the various components, but also transmit light and magical energy from the retinas to the lenses and vice versa. Each eye has a slightly different configuration of evocularies. In one, they might form a complex spiral. In another, they might form a tightly wound corkscrew patterns. In a third, they might be taut and straight. The nature of an eye's evoculary configuration is believed to be what focuses the raw magic energy the creature then generates deep in its brain to create its signature eye ray effects. The 3 retinas of each eye coil into a highly complex, braid-like structure as they wind down the stalk or up behind the central eye to converge deep inside the creature's body and brain. The raw magic energy that powers a beholder's eye rays is transmitted along this braid from the Dwemer lobes of its brain. A beholder's outer body, although strange, at least seems logical in construction. The farther one gets into the innards, however, the more alien and unusual the components become. Its internal organs are a tangled, brightly colored, often inscrutable mess of tubes, sacs, coils, and other things that have little or no analogy to those found in a humanoid. Sages have managed to pin down the purpose for some of these organs by process of elimination or by their proximity to the creature's mouth. A beholder's digestive system and its connected circulatory and respiratory systems is fairly obvious. Beyond these, sages are positive only about the reproductive organs and the brain. Perhaps the most unusual shared feature of a beholder's internal organs is their freakish buoyancy. Even when separated from the remainder of the body, these organs float like balloons, despite the fact that they rarely contain any appreciable volumes of air or natural gas, with the exception of the lung itself. An internal organ separated from the beholder's body retains a buoyancy for up to about 12 hours or longer if it's preserved by magic. This natural buoyancy allows a beholder to fly, its motions and movement controlled by bursts of air expelled from its thousands of spiracles. Technically, beholders are endoskeletal creatures, although what passes for a skeleton in their bodies amounts to nothing more than a large skull. The material that comprises the skull isn't bone, though. In fact, it's so similar in construction to the creature's skin that it's nearly impossible to tell with our current science where the skin ends and the skull begins. The material is hard and flexible, and above all else, remarkably light. Despite the fact that it's incredibly porous, it remains rigid and nearly as strong as iron. Unfortunately, the material quickly grows brittle upon a beholder's death. Some alchemists have devised methods to maintain the bone's strength after the creature's death, but because this material is only about as strong as iron and much more dangerous to harvest, armor and weapons made of beholder bone remain little more than curiosities. The most readily obvious set of internal organs make up the creature's digestive tract. The back of a beholder's mouth consists of a powerful sphincter-like muscle opening into a short esophagus and then into a large, flat stomach that fills most of the hollow inside its lower jaw. Numerous smaller tubes that are similar to intestines branch off from the stomach and coil up the back of the creature. As they continue to split, they carry the liquefied remains of a meal farther up into the body. Eventually, these intestines become as thin as hairs, and they coil around and through a large fan-shaped organ that contains hundreds of tiny air-filled channels. This is the beholder's lung, and the channels constantly mix air with digested food to produce a frothy pink fluid. The lung itself is lined with powerful muscles that expand and contract rhythmically, drawing in and expelling air from the spiracles and a beholder's skin. From the lung, hundreds of thousands of fine arteries branch out to deliver the fluid mixture to the other organs. Thus, runny material is pumped through this creature's body by the pulsations of the lung. Once the nutrients and oxygen provided are completely consumed, the waste liquid drains back into the beholder's mouth. It is then expelled, or more often, it dribbles out in a constant stream of foul smelling drool. A beholder that goes without food grows more lethargic as its body begins to dry out. Anything a beholder finds indigestible is either vomited back up and spat out or slowly absorbed into the lining of its stomach and eventually embedded in the inside surface of the skeleton. Beholders are gender neutral, and they become fertile only once in their lives. During this period, which happens within the first 40 years of its life, the creature grows increasingly more erratic and paranoid in behavior. A strange ovoid organ below the back of the creature's tongue grows large and swollen, which is known as the creature's womb. A typical beholder gestates up to 12 young in its womb over a period of nearly 6 months, during which time it grows more and more active and cantankerous. A pregnant, if you want to call it that, beholder eats nearly 4 times its amount of food that it would normally eat for the first 4 months of its term, storing up food reserves in its stomach, intestines, and even its lung. And during the final 2 months, the creature's womb has swollen so large that its mouth becomes incapable of swallowing anything else, and its tongue protrudes grossly from its maw. A beholder is at its most paranoid during this time and remains hidden in its lair until it gives birth. The birthing of new beholders is a sight that few have witnessed, and by all accounts, it's something that even fewer would want to witness. When a brood comes to term, a beholder's jaw unhinges and it regurgitates its womb out through the mouth. The creature bites the womb off and it floats gently in the air. The young beholders are forced to chew their way out of the gory mass to freedom. They're incapable of flight immediately, but their eye powers develop later in life. They are capable of flight immediately. Although a beholder gives birth up to a dozen young at once, only a handful are going to survive. The parent observes its young and decides which look most like itself. The others are eaten by the ravenous parent, along with the discarded womb, and the surviving young are forced from the parent's lair within an hour to fend for themselves. A beholder's intense magical power and energy are gathered and directed in the internal organs that comprise its nervous system and brain. Some theorize that beholders gather magical energy from the bodies of spell-casting creatures they've eaten, while others believe that they simply absorb ambient magic from the environment. In fact, a beholder's vast store of magical power is directly connected to its eyes. Just as the creature's braided optic nerves transmit light to the brain to allow sight, so do the eyes transmit magic to the brain for storage and augmentation. A beholder can absorb magical energy by looking at spell effects in action, by observing magic creatures like constructs or spellcasters, by gazing upon ancient relics and minor magic baubles, and by simply from watching its own eye rays, recycling the power back into its brain as it uses them. The amount of magical energy the eyes absorb is minuscule. A beholder could study the same magic missile scroll nonstop for months before the study would render the scroll useless. The more powerful and permanent the magic is, the longer it takes to absorb. Further, beholders would gain much less magical energy from studying a single pair of winged boots over the course of a week than it would from studying an entire library full of arcane tomes. A beholder that goes without a steady supply of new magic to study grows cantankerous and paranoid. More than any sense of greed, this forces the creature to hoard magic items as treasure or to seek out ruins, dungeons, and other repositories of powerful magic. A beholder's brain is quite large. Much of it consists of 2 lobes that descend down the left and right like horns. These are known as Dwemer lobes, and it is here that magical energy is stored and amplified. A beholder's mind, like its body, is alien to the natural world and actually consists of 2 separate independent minds. These can be categorized as the rational and the intuitive mind. Having 2 minds does not give a beholder any sort of tactical or magical advantage. If anything, it's perhaps the monster's greatest disadvantage. The rational mind is a coldly logical machine that classifies information into forms and shapes that a beholder can assimilate. It stores plans, magical knowledge, personal rationalizations, memories, and goals. The intuitive mind consists of what a beholder sees. It sorts what it observes to determine what can and cannot be passed on to the rational mind. Here, a beholder keeps suppressed memories and suppressed knowledge, details of past failures, and theories that would shatter its rational mind. In the gulf that exists between a beholder's two minds lurk its paranoia and xenophobia. Beholders are considered to be insane, but not all beholders suffer from the side effects of having two minds. In some, their rational, intuitive minds work together to assimilate thoughts and plans without hiding truth or knowledge. These beholders are considered sane, and they can interact with other creatures in a non-destructive manner, although they remain just as capable of cruelty and sadism as the more common variety. Beholders are hateful, avaricious, and territorial. It has little purpose in life beyond guarding its chosen turf. Though not so strong, it has powerful mental abilities, along with being incredibly dexterous and having a very high constitution, making it strong at all of the big three types of saving throws. As you'd expect from a floating blob with a giant central eye, its perception is through the roof, and it also has incredibly good vision in the dark. It has an innate ability to hover, so it cannot be knocked prone and remains in the air even if its speed is reduced to nothing. At melee range, it has a mean bite, but the beholder's trump card is its eye rays, which emanate from the many smaller eyes at the ends of stalks extending from its body. They have great range, enough to keep trespassers at a distance for a good amount of time. It can also project anti-magic from its central eye, but this ability can be problematic. Finally, a beholder in its lair has special abilities that it has access to only in that lair. Slippery slime on the floor, grasping appendages flailing from the walls, and random beholder eyes appearing on nearby surfaces. And a beholder encounter almost always happens in its lair. The beholder is aggressive, malicious, and antisocial. So when trespassers appear, it's not going to indulge any attempt to negotiate passage. It's going to attack immediately. At the start of a battle, it will decide whether to use its anti-magic ability. Here's the problem. It'll stop it as well from using its own magic. Imagine that the beholder spends all its time with its gaze focused on the entrance to its lair, because that's exactly the sort of thing an aberration would do. A group of intruders appears in the doorway. Every instinct it has tells it to kill the intruders, but it would seem the only function of its anti-magic is to interfere with its killing of the intruders. However, with a little bit of geometry, we can see how the anti-magic can be made to work effectively. A cone-shaped area of effect covers a distance of x feet, out to a width of x feet at that distance, regardless of its range. This means it covers an arc of about 53 degrees, or slightly less than a sixth of a circle. The upshot is that while enemies are at a distance, the anti-magic is practically useless. But when they're close and they're surrounding the beholder, it can isolate one or two opponents within the cone while projecting eye rays in other directions. Okay, so the intruders have appeared. The beholder is attacking. It's choosing not to use its anti-magic just yet. But what if the intruders see the mean expression on this thing's face, have a higher initiative, and act first? The beholder has at least 3 rays that it can use at any time, and it'll use it against any enemy that attacks it first. When its own turn comes around to attack, it will project an additional 3 eye rays. They seem to be random in their effects. How does the beholder choose its targets? The beholder has great intelligence, so it knows better than to use its telekinetic ray against a hulking barbarian, its disintegration ray against a hyperactive halfling rogue, its paralyzing ray against a dwarf, or its charm or sleep against an elf. It will target its abilities at whatever it deems to be the most likely to be the most harmed. As the battle continues, the beholder will refine its choices. If a ray didn't work against a particular enemy, it won't use that ray against that enemy again. If it did work, it uses that ray's sibling rays against that enemy as well. After it's finished, it will use its legendary actions on the next 3 enemies' turns, but now with a twist. Instead of automatically attacking whatever just attacked, it chooses targets according to what it knows about the enemies and their susceptibility to its various rays. Also, on the beginning of another round of battle, the beholder has actions it can use according to its lair. If one or more enemies are charging in to fight a beholder up close, it favors its slime. If one or more enemies are near away, it favors grappling appendages, and if neither situation applies, it'll choose a random wall eye. As long as the enemies remain out of melee range, the beholder will use nothing but its eye rays against them. It won't willingly move from its chosen location, which will be as far out of reach as possible. But there's one twist here that you need to be aware of. Beholders may be summoned as guards by other magic using entities. Say a beholder is under a geas to guard a passageway out of a chamber. Even though it would prefer to hover high out of reach, if an enemy approaches that hallway, the beholder will be compelled to descend in order to block them. Then the enemies could reach it with melee attacks. If enough of its attackers close to it, it then starts using its anti-magic to stop spellcasters, provided that it can do so and still target non-spellcasters. Maintaining its use of the eye rays is always its higher priority. It bites only if it's within melee range of a target, and all the enemies it can attack with its eye rays have already proved themselves resistant to at least two, maybe more types of them. Or alternatively, if a particular melee opponent has provided resistance to two or more types of eye ray, yet they're the only one whom the beholder still considered a genuine threat. A beholder is also ultra territorial. If it's encountered in its lair, it always fights to the death. Ditto if it's being summoned as a sentinel. Only a beholder encountered outside its lair and under no obligation to stay will flee from combat, and it does so after taking a relatively modest amount of pain. Now, there are some variations of beholders that you need to be aware of. The Death Tyrant is an undead beholder. In most respects, it behaves exactly the same way as a normal beholder does, but there are a couple of exceptions. First, its negative energy doesn't interfere with its own eye rays the way beholder's anti-magic does. So the negative energy is constantly flowing as long as intruders are present. It keeps this oriented in whichever direction catches the most enemies in it, including unconscious ones who may die and be raised as the undead themselves. Second, the Death Tyrant is never found outside of its lair unless it's been summoned as a magical sentinel. Either way, it doesn't flee, no matter how much pain is inflicted upon it. Its compulsion to guard supersedes everything else, even its own survival. Finally, the Death Tyrant actually is more intelligent than a beholder. This makes it even more dangerous when aiming its rays at vulnerable enemies. On the other end of the danger spectrum, we have the Spectator, a lesser cousin to the Beholder that's not malicious, just dutiful. It has no territory of its own. It's summoned as a magical sentinel, and that's its one and only responsibility. It's willing to speak civilly via telepathy and those who encountered it, although it's liable to come off as offbeat, high-strung, and suspicious. And the enemies had best not mess with whatever it's guarding. Spectators only have 4 types of eye rays. They also only do 2 per action rather than 3. They don't have any legendary or layer actions. In other respects, however, they fight similarly to beholders. In particular, they strongly favor their eye rays over their bite attack and will only result to biting if there's an opponent within range and the eye rays just aren't working. They also have the unique ability to redirect spells cast at them onto other targets. Unlike beholders, spectators don't possess genius level intellect. They redirect spells not toward whoever's causing them the most hassle. Finally, like others of their kind, they don't flee. They have a job to do, and by gum, they're going to do it, or they're going to die trying. Other variations you hear of and hopefully never run into are elder orbs, hive mothers, and beholder kin. One in every several hundred beholders is born with amazing longevity. These are known as elder orbs, and the source of their longevity is hotly debated. The elder orbs themselves believe that it's proof that they embody the primal purity of the Great Mother. An elder orb is effectively immortal. It never grows senile or infirm from age and can live forever unless it perishes from violence or disease. They're similar to build to beholders, although most have a significantly stronger constitution. All elder orbs have at least 6 levels of sorcery. They favor spells without material components, but they can easily produce a spell's somatic components with their eye stalks. Elder orbs never summon familiars. Naturally, they must choose their central eye when casting spells. When an elder orb reaches venerable age, it stops losing its physical ability, but continues to gain mental abilities. The cumulative effect of middle age, old age, and venerable age therefore increase its abilities more and more. Elder orbs have enough additional racial health that they increase to a huge size. This helps offset their lower strength and constitution, but in the end, elder orbs are less agile than their standard beholders. Now, even rarer than elder orbs are hive mother beholders. Although their name implies a feminine gender, these beholders are as gender neutral as typical members of the species. Their name stems more from the fact that they have the ability to magically dominate other beholders. Hive mothers form large communities of beholders to serve them. This is how beholder cities originate. Left to their own devices, beholders would rather slay their kin than live in harmony with them. Hive mothers are universally larger and fiercer than their typical beholders. A vast number of beholderkin exist, not true beholders. These creatures do not share the race's xenophobia, although most are still quite evil and cruel in nature. True beholders consider beholderkin to be abominations. Gazers are tiny, translucent micro beholders, usually found in a cluster around a full-size beholder, though they're sometimes found on their own. They are proficiently stealthy, so they may hide among the darker recesses of the master's lair. They tend to stay far away and take pot shots at enemies, if anything. A death's kill has blood-draining tentacles in replace of its eye stalks, and its body roils with powerful electric aura. This electricity will hurt if you get too close, and its tentacles will pin you down and they cut deep. Death kills are often found dwelling in a beholder community led by a hive mother or an overseer. It has 6 eye stalks and 3 clawed tentacles with which it bonds with monstrous vermin mounts. An eye of the deep rarely comes into conflict with true beholders, for this aquatic variant dwells deep underwater. It has only 2 eye stalks, but its massive pincers make it a dangerous combatant. An eyeball is a tiny beholderkin with 4 eye stalks. They are popular familiars in some wizardly and sorceress circles. Easily the most common of the beholderkin, though, is a goth. It has 6 eye stalks and a central eye that can stun its enemies. A gouger's 10 eye stalks are magically useless. Its central eye retains the anti-magic properties of true beholders, and 4 small legs hang from the creature's underside. But be warned, when a goth is killed, they tend to explode, so keep your distance. It also loves to eat magical items, so make sure you have a strong grip on those or you might lose them. A goth's most hideous feature, though, is its long, barbed tongue, which is adept at temporarily neutralizing beholder eye stalks. An overseer is the most dangerous of the beholder kin. Rivaling the power of a hive mother, an overseer resembles nothing so much as a large fleshy tree with mouths on its trunk and eyes on its branches. Finally, a spectator is an extraplanar beholderkin with 4 eye stalks. Somewhat mild and even-tempered, spectators have even been known to form friendships with other creatures, a trait that no other beholderkin or true beholder ever displays. So quickly, as we wrap up, let's dive into more of these layers that beholders are so keen on protecting. A typical lair consists of a winding maze of passageways that are bored through solid rock with disintegrate eye rays. These tunnels tend to be perfectly smooth and round with a 10-foot radius or so. Beholders know that their ability to fly gives them a distinct tactical advantage, so most lairs incorporate a large number of vertical shafts. This hinders intruders attempting to penetrate the lair and keeps prisoners from easily escaping. A typical lair consists of 3 to 5 additional chambers. The farthest chamber from the entrance is the beholder's personal quarters, where the creature sleeps and studies any magic treasure it has accumulated. Beholders are too arrogant to incorporate escape tunnels into their quarters. Doing so only invites an invasion on multiple fronts. In any case, a beholder can quickly create its own escape tunnel if need be with its disintegration. Between the quarters and the lair entrance are 2 more chambers used to house guardians. Most beholders keep another room off to the side of the main complex to dispose of waste or to hold prisoners. A beholder with a favored minion allows that minion his or her own chamber as well. Additional chambers for additional minions are built as needed, and beholders are quite fond of traps, especially those triggered by pressure plates, and they can incorporate pit traps and similar protections into their lairs. One of the most terrifying manifestations of beholder society, though, is a beholder hive. It's not unheard of for similarly shaped beholders to live in close proximity to one another, cooperating to build incredible and alien cities in far corners of the world. The existence of beholder hive mothers and overseers makes these gatherings possible. These thankfully rare creatures possess a supernatural ability to command and dominate other beholders. Both can organize a large collection to work toward a common goal. The appearance of a beholder hive varies widely, though. Some are little more than tangled underground mazes of chambers and circular passageways carved by a multitude of disintegrate eye rays, while others are fantastic cities or alien, disturbing architecture. These hive cities are built by charmed minions, with finishing touches by particularly artistic beholders that use their disintegrate eye rays to carve sculptures from solid stone or metal. Its population depends on its nature of its leader. An overseer can command only a relatively small number of beholders at once, and thus its hive consists of 20 or so beholders or beholder kin. These hives are typically underground warrens. A hive ruled by a hive mother, on the other hand, has no limit to its size. Such a hive usually even incorporates a few overseers. So these hives are more on the scale of cities, and although they are often found in underground regions, a few appear in remote regions on the surface. The primary goal of a hive mother that rules a hive city is almost always the collection of more beholders and kin. Hive mothers seem to believe that they themselves are the chosen of the Great Mother and must work to bring unity and order to their race. Other beholder cities ruled by hive mothers are their greatest enemies, and they represent all that is tainted and wrong about the beholder race. Once all other hive cities are destroyed or assimilated, the surviving hive mother could, in theory, turn its vast resources to the other races of the world. Life for a beholder in a hive city is an unusual prospect. The hive mother knows at all times where its commanded minions are, and even if this command is disrupted, the beholders do their best to maintain a civil air. For to disrupt the city is to invite the terrible wrath of its ruler. Yet even a hive mother is incapable of directing an entire hive. It allows favored beholders or overseers to rule its city as a council of sorts. All city activities are directed by this council, and the hive mother itself simply observes them rather than watching the entire city as a whole. I think that covers enough about beholders today, beings you definitely don't want to run into. Of course, all of the aberrations, they're likely to come in contact with adventures, so please be careful out there. Anyway, we will see you next class with the first part of illithids, and we'll talk about them. Let's play some D&D. Last time we played, we were at another bar called the Tall Tale, which was a large pub run by a Loxodon bartender. And he told you that the signature drink was in the basement. Unfortunately, the basement was also haunted by a group of humans and a group of orcs forever in battle until the end of time. And the party said, yeah, we could deal with that. We could fix that problem in a good one sesh. So they ran down there and they watched the battle, and they figured out, if we talk to each of these people individually, we may be able to find some common ground amongst them, and we can solve all of their problems. So that's what they did. And then, unsurprisingly, Billy went back upstairs and did some research. I feel like of all the characters outside of Jerry, Billy would be the only other one that
Very
would.
shiny bot.
Yeah, Jerry Shiny Bottom. He went up and studied for a little bit. Dell sat at the bar and drank and ended up singing Piano Man on the little piano in the bar upstairs. And what it ultimately boiled down to, as they found out, was that the humans, well, let me restart. The orcs strongly believed that the humans were responsible for their problems because they had one half of the staff that they had originally had. And there was some history that came out about a king who really liked an orc lady, even though he was already married to a human lady, and they maybe had a half orc baby, and the half orc baby tried to fight for the crown, and it was kind of a mess. And anyway, the human people had a problem with the orcs because they were not humans; they were orcs, and therefore lowly and disgusting, and overall just a horrible thing to be. Pretty much akin to an animal. And so they had a problem with that. And so this war had been raging on for how many years? 272 years. The party then realized that not only do the orcs and humans not like each other, their leaders also had the same name, Cedrus. And part of the battle was a battle of pride that one or the other Cedrus was the more renowned Cedrus, Cedrus the orc or Cedrus the human. In Billy's research, he found out about another Cedrus at that time who went by Cedric, who was way far more renowned than either of those two would ever imagine being. After this was discovered, and some more talking, and a what's it called? What's that type of debate called? Like a Lincoln-Dixon debate? Yeah, after a Lincoln-Dixon debate began in the basement, it was decided that the party would be allowed to use the staff in its whole entirety. What is it?
Lincoln Douglas.
Douglas. I knew it had a D. I thought Dixon was too on the nose for, like, Dixie and all of that kind of stuff.
You were thinking Mason Dixon line.
I was. You're right. I mixed the two together. Anyway, the Lincoln Douglas debate, excuse me. They decided that the party would be allowed to use the staff that they were both fighting over as one piece to unlock the back door that held the signature drink. On the contingency that the party spread the word of the two other Cedruses and made them more renowned than any other Cedrus or Cedric in the world. The party was like, yeah, sure, we'll do that, no problem. And then went and got the drink. So you guys all got your second drink, and you are headed off to your next bar number 3. And that's where we are going to begin tonight.
And everyone owes me because I didn't punch anybody.
Yep.
Just throwing that out there. The very racist people.
Yep. Yorick did not act on his racial tendencies and fight anybody, so he wins the night.
100% Billy would have smacked him on the back and been like, you did a great job. I had the urge to punch him once or twice, and that you didn't. That's growth.
Tonight's session is also being sponsored, not sponsored by Minneapolis, Minnesota's Sociable Cider Works Blueberry Cider. Tasty. That's all I have to say about that. And Mountain Dew. 2 Mountain Dews.
We started selling the cans again, and I'm so excited of my voltage. You have no idea how excited I am about that.
Well, you know how COVID just ravaged all of that aluminum in the world.
Yeah.
That's what really had a problem with the pandemic. It's not that it killed people. It really only killed people we didn't like anyway. It was more that it killed the aluminum industry for like a solid 3 years.
It still hasn't recovered yet. You still can't get a good grape soda.
Ooh.
This is true.
Grape Ed is no longer made.
I mean, you couldn't get a good grape soda before the pandemic, but
You take that back.
There is specific brands of grape soda that are good, especially when you eat them with fresh sliced Colby Jack cheese from the deli.
See,
Don't ask me why the flavor combination works.
just when you think I can agree with
I was
something
gonna
that
Yeah, you're there
he
right up
just
until
throws a curveball out there that hits you right in the kneecaps, and I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, it's just too late. You're already on that side now, so now it's just
I can't side with Colby Jack grape soda, man.
Why not?
Do
Have you
like
tried
green-
it?
You like
Have you tried it at least once?
yeah, that's very fair. Actually,
You
that
can't
is
say
very
you don't
fair.
like something if you haven't at least given it a shot.
I
do
do
like
Try it
agree.
once and then
soda,
you don't have to do it
And I
again.
do like Kobe Jack cheese.
I mean, I
But
like
I don't
orange soda
know.
more, but grape soda is good too.
It's
You
the orange
say that
working.
'cause you're black. Anyway,
Strawberry soda,
AD&D. We're going to the frothing flask tonight. I don't know who you were pointing at, CJ, but anybody who you were pointing at.
Just-
It was
Uh,
me. About the orange soda.
Your third bar is known as the Frothing Flask. As you approach, the building looks like a pillar hewn from the earth, and one would scarcely guess if it was a pub, if not for the etching above the only door depicting a mug bubbling over. The Frothing Flask is for those who desire to carry out an intellectual debate over drinks or to continue their conjurings after leaving campus. It has all the finest enchantments to ensure a pleasant drinking and dining experience. As you enter, you notice that it's a vaguely modernist in design, despite how the outside looks. The pub is a single tall tower. The walls and floor are smooth gray stone without any signs of masonry work. The pub lacks windows, though there is ample lighting from magical sconces around the walls. The pub is heavily warded against teleportation through the walls, except in a few spots, and it actually does say that we do not allow teleportation spells, which is kind of odd. The coat of arms on the door is a green flask with a rounded base and green and blue geometric figure emerging from the top. The main bartender is in front of you. The map is pulled up, or will be pulled up, I apologize, on Roll20, where you should all be able to see it because I definitely fixed the lighting. Yes, the lighting is corrected. So the gray stone walls of this building are covered in patches of verdant moss and faint blue runes. There's a waterfall opposite the entrance, all the way on the other side, that forms a leisurely stream that cuts the room into islands. So the blue that you're seeing on the ground is water. And then you have these small bridges that kind of span over smaller islands. In the very center, I'm going to point to right here, that is the main bar. It's a one rounded bar surrounded by a lot of little tables. On each side are seating areas, which contain a dozen egg-shaped chairs with metal exteriors and cushioned interiors. They float about 2 feet above the floor and can be rearranged however you desire. Each area also contains 3 billiards tables near the walls made of ornately carved pine, 10 feet long, 5 feet wide. And lining the wall instead of cue sticks are oversized wands that emit a line of lightning, which causes any billiards ball it strikes to roll in the opposite direction. So all of these little islands are connected by rune-lined walking bridges that have the little seating areas and everything. The bridges are all covered with veils of water that are falling from the cavernous ceiling. As you approach that first bridge in the center, the bridge runes glow. The water ceases just long enough for you to pass under the bridges. Do you want to know about your bartender, or what would you like to do?
I'm gonna go find a table.
And then question, I think you mentioned it. I just wasn't paying enough attention. Did I drink at the last bar or no?
did.
I remember the piano man deal,
You
but I wasn't sure if
did.
I was drinking.
You had
Okay.
one shot with the group,
Okay.
and then you drank the signature drink.
Okay. Cool. Noted. Thank you.
Jera will immediately go up to the bartender and say, hello there. Hi. It's the crawling pub thing. That's why we're here.
All right. The being in front of you is a humanoid construct. Leans over to you. It's got an average height, slender, elegant frame. Her metallic body is composed of a blend of polished bronze and gleaming silver. Their facial features are meticulously crafted with delicate lines and expressive eyes that shimmer with an otherworldly light. Her voice is melodic and soothing, carrying a tone of warmth and wisdom. Greetings, I am Vani, the bartender and custodian of Ebzenithon's legacy. How may I assist you on this fine day?
We're looking for the pub that crawls.
Ah, you're here for the pub crawl challenge. Excellent. The rules are as follows. There are 7 walkways connecting different areas of the pub. Your task is to start from here at the bar and cross each of these walkways without setting foot on the same one twice. While not strictly forbidden, the use of magic is discouraged, and some measures have been taken to prevent it. Oh, and one more thing. Try not to get wet, or you'll have to start over from the beginning. Good luck with your pub crawl challenge. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
Thank you. Very, very kind, or whatever your version of that is.
You're most welcome. If there's anything else you'd like to know, or if you're ready to embark, please let me know. I'm here to assist you in any way I can. Enjoy your time at the Frothing Flask, and may your pub crawl be filled with excitement and memorable experiences. Cheers, and here is a menu. And she hands you a slate, essentially. It's made of very thin stone where the menu has been written.
Okay, so I'll like lean over and I was like, okay, well this is to Jara and be like, well, this sounds easy. I'll carry you. Your foot doesn't touch it twice. Bada bing, bada boom, we're done. Easiest one yet.
Feel like that might be the sort of
Ain't
technicality.
magic, but not discouraged.
If I remember correctly, she said no teleportation. You cannot cross the same way twice. Is that correct?
Can't set foot on the same platform twice. Her
Set-
foot won't touch any of them.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
I'll pick
Oh,
her.
wait,
I'll
wait.
pick her up.
I'm like, yes. Well, I agree with Yorick. We have this in the bag.
Do you allow him to pick you up, Jara?
No.
You slap his hand. Like,
I don't stop. I'm just gonna just pick you up.
sounds like a contested something.
Don't you think that maybe if you're disqualified, it might disqualify the whole group?
We'll start over.
It's a contested strength, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not going to contest strength against Yorick.
Natural ones exist.
Yeah, say, like, I am very well known for those, actually.
Well, being a very small person, you learn that the whole kicking and screaming and struggling thing, it really looks undignified.
As you start to pick her up, and she's not against you picking her up, but she's certainly not happy about it. You see that the bartender has disappeared.
Waiting for this occasion.
The bartender has disappeared and has reappeared directly next to you, Yorick, and has her hand on you. Excuse me, sir. It seems like there might be a misunderstanding here. Let the lady go, please.
Sure. And I'll reach out without saying anything and pick up Dell.
No, this isn't necessary. I mean, I prefer to lift my own feet.
You notice that the bartender's expression has shifted to one of concern and urgency, and is certainly asserting a more, assertive demeanor. Sir, if we need to ask you twice, we will remove you from the premises.
Oh, I think I see the problem now. Hey, Billy, can I pick you up?
He said yes.
He says sure.
The bartender then puts her hand on your shoulder one more time. Is it so hard to ask first? And then disappears and goes back behind the bar.
How long are you gonna keep? Are we?
No, I'm going. So okay, so we start here. Oh yeah, so what's the path again? We start on this one here, you said.
Wait. I need this for my notes. How is your carrying Billy?
Oh, your legs is over this that I'm holding you. You're
Oh.
like this.
Oh, you're bridal carrying me.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, 100%.
Billy's slightly like he's uncomfortable. He's like, I think we should drink first.
I was concerned of your old bones, but York doesn't say that, so he was trying to do what he thought would be the most comfortable for you, without saying anything.
And I think Billy probably picked up on that and that's just adding to like the okay. I don't like how this feels. Nope. Need a drink. Yorick to the bar.
The bartender asks, since you're standing right there at the bar, your friend has a menu, but I have more, and hands you a menu and hands a couple more out to the rest of the party. It is split into 2 different parts: spirits and mixed drinks, and unconventional appetizers.
What are the unconventional appetizers?
You said you just needed a drink. Let's get you a drink and let's get.
We have some mystic chicken wings, elemental empanadas, fiery jalapeno poppers, zephyr zucchini zirkles, enchanted bruschetta, and sorcerer's sushi rolls.
Oh, the fire wings.
The which one? The fiery jalapeno poppers?
Yeah.
Stuffed with creamy goat cheese and wrapped in crispy bacon, served with a sweet and spicy dipping sauce. 7 silver pieces.
You had me up until goat cheese. Really don't do goat cheese.
More of a Kojak and grape soda kind of guy.
Billy's even gonna ask that. Be like, can I substitute this and get a little bit of like? Can I have a grape soda along with my liquor?
Our
Like, okay,
renowned chefs do not allow any kind of changes to the menu items. However, we do have grape soda.
Can I get like a side of cheese? Just like slice. Have Colby.
Cheese a la mode.
100%.
No, not a la mode.
I want Billy to still being held while he's in the menu. Can I get a slice of Colby Jack with my grape?
Colby Jack cheese. We do have Colby Jack cheese available. It is commonly used for our elemental empanadas. Would you
You know
like?
what? Give me the empanadas, an extra slice of cheese, a grape soda, and what is the liquor you recommend?
Are you a smoky or sweet or savory kind of drinker?
I like pretend to embrace and like, oh, definitely a sweet person.
If you would
Billy was saying sweet at when he said that, and he's like Billy feels uncomfortable. He's like savory, like he's reverting a little bit, like savory.
For savory, I would recommend the Ethereal Elixir, a mystical blend of lavender-infused gin, elderflower liqueur, and a hint of sparkling citrus, served with a garnish of floating blueberries.
Okay.
If you are feeling more sweet, we have the Celestial Stardust vodka, lychee liqueur, and a dash of butterfly pea flower syrup, creating a mesmerizing color-changing effect.
Okay, I'll do this. I'll do the savory.
Understood. Your total comes to 16 silver. Would anybody else like anything to drink?
After seeing Archie take the last one a little hard and feeling a little bad, I'm like, I'll wait until we get I'll wait until we get the special.
Archie is already downing a shot. Yeah, we'll wait. It's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, anyway, let's do the thing. How would you guys like to do it?
Well, Billy, I'll cover you, Billy. If you could just reach my wallet on my hip here, since I'm busy.
You know, I mean, you could put me down. Like, we haven't started yet, so maybe we all sit. like grown-ups and
Yeah.
eat and drink.
Get the plan first. We see what you're going for, but
Yeah, like your point was proven, I think.
yeah, we get you.
You're
Are
also
you not comfortable?
no.
That's
You've got some really hard rippling things, pectorals, whatever. I just need a drink.
Sounds good.
Can I hear the
I'll put you down on
exact
a chair.
wording of the instructions one more time?
Of course. The rules are as follows. There are 7 walkways connecting different areas of the pub. Your task is to start from the bar and cross each of the walkways without setting foot on the same one twice. While not strictly forbidden, the use of magic is discouraged, and some measures have been taken to prevent it. Oh, and one more thing. Try not to get wet, or you'll have to start over from the beginning. Good luck with your pub crawl challenge. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
I walked away during the description. Sorry, kid. How wide are the river sections?
Just
How long
like
is the
the
bridge?
map, just like on the map, it's a grid of 5 by 5. So at its widest, it's about 5 feet. But it is anywhere that it's blue is not just like a water. There's literally a waterfall that encompasses all of the water that you see, plus all of the bridges that you see. And as you walk up to those bridges, the runes glow and kind of parts its ways, just long enough for you to get through.
Mhm.
Sorry, I missed that description.
Oh, you're
That
fine.
feels important.
It very much is.
So the 7 that we need to step on, is it going to be this, and then this, and then
This spot right
this, and then
here, any of the gray spots in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
I'm with you. Okay.
6, and 7.
I don't know. Hearing it twice still, I think my idea is the right one.
That is a possible plan, a potential loophole. The test could be in hearing the accuracy and using your cunning to outwit it. If that is not the case, they said magic is discouraged but not against the rules. I can hold back some of the waterfalls to allow someone to leap across.
I'm still trying to convince myself there's no way to actually just, do it by taking a walk. I'd like to rule that out, but
It is potential. I've run it a few times just in my head. I haven't found the solution as of yet.
same boat seems a bit tricksy. Another thing that we could do that might not involve all of the piggybacking is it does say specifically without your foot touching the same. So someone could be rolled, thrown, or otherwise.
Or picked up.
Carried.
But then again, does the foot touching the walkway, is that what causes the water to open?
If you're being carried, someone's foot is touching the walkway. It's just not yours.
Yep.
So it seems like a valid theory.
I mean, it seems like, it sounds like we can restart. Like if we get wet, we have to start again. So I say, hey, let's just do it.
That's true. They said start again. They did not say disqualified.
Yeah. So shots and carry me into the sunset.
All right. I suppose I am the most carryable.
Now I don't want to make you uncomfortable, and I look over to I look to the bartender. So I don't want to make you uncomfortable. So I need you to say, York, I want you to pick me up.
So I'll be honest. I've actually been kind of want to do this for a while. She's going to start climbing Yorick and get up on his shoulders.
That is adorable.
I mean, you could have asked first, but this is okay.
Oh wait, no, he consents. It's not.
Jetta, you cannot just go climbing on people. You have to ask first.
Please remember,
That's
in
his
this bar,
idea.
as well as anywhere else in the world, no means no.
Well, I believe I will watch you go first.
Yeah. So and I'll have him point. The bartender's like, so which one was the one we had to start on first?
Any of it. Start here at the bar. I am going to, as your DM, I'm going to label them. All of our pathways. So
Very
we
smart.
aren't going to confuse ourselves as to which pathway everybody is going across. Okay.
That would make it hard not to step on it twice.
So carrying Jera, which pathway, starting here at the bar in the center, which pathway do you want to cross first?
So I need to get here first,
You need to get to one.
right?
Not necessarily. You're starting here in the center. So
I
you
mean,
have, it
if
doesn't
the
matter
plan
where
is
you
to
end.
piggyback, it really doesn't matter, does it?
Right. That's what I was just thinking. So
That's fair.
and so is it like I'm trying to get to here and jumping to here? Like, is that the thing? And like there's this waterfall blocking it? Like that's
So
I'm
I
I'm having a hard
will.
time visualize it.
Nope, you're fine. I will help out. Let me get my colors. So this block here and any blue block along these lines, this
Right.
is
Mhm.
water. You don't know how
Right.
deep it is, but there is a waterfall that is completely blocking out this area. There's a wall of water here essentially. And it's the same thing with this area here, this one here, and so forth. Are you following so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
As well, magically, there is a waterfall that connects like this area and this area across this. And each one of these like bridges is covered in a waterfall. So as you're looking right now, it looks like you're completely surrounded by water. But as you approach one of these bridges, the runes light up and that waterfall disappears for a short time, just long enough for you to cross over that 5-foot space. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you're trying to get through the pathways where each of those numbers are written.
Right.
Somebody with a
Without
green
stepping on it
crayon,
twice.
Jera drew on the map, but you get the idea.
Yes.
And then Jera also passed over 3 twice. So that would.
Yeah. There's this conveniently drawn line that I'm actually going to follow.
Okay.
And just hold. I will have. I'm like going to set Jared to touch it like once every time I go through one, just in case that's a condition.
What once?
Like I'm gonna when we cross the tile, making sure she's gonna step on it, and just gonna make sure she doesn't step on it twice, just in case that's a condition that this needs.
Okay. So
But
you're
when I go over it the second
to-
time, I'm gonna just hold her.
Okay, I understand. So as you cross over 2, then 1, then 4, then 6, then 3, correct? That's the order you're going?
Yep.
Things seem to be working in your favor. They, as you step forward, the runes light up. You essentially set Jera down. She kind of either walks across, or you just pick her right back up and you go. And this continues, but as you're passing back over number 3 and you're carrying Jera across, the light, instead of turning blue and letting you cross, turns red, and the waterfall does not go away.
Hey, Billy, could you just like walk over this way for a second?
Yeah,
And
Billy.
if as Billy does, if it opens up, I'm gonna try to like sprint through it to not get us wet. So-
Billy steps on one side of it. The pathway opens, and as you sprint across, you hear a loud siren, and you are both instantly doused with just like water cannons from each side.
what punish about smarting the rules?
Yeah, I think it knows.
I just think, with a place as sophisticated as this, they should probably word it better.
All right.
Just-
So, are there any windows?
No windows.
One door.
Secret doors, tunnels, or
You can do an investigation check.
ways outside of the building? I would like to do that. But
All right. Go ahead.
where am I right now?
Right now, you are actually
End up over here?
you're here, but you're just wet.
Okay.
We gotta start over.
Did all the water come from above?
Yes. I mean, there are pools of water there, but the water is coming from above, and it's so far up you can't see where it's coming from.
I mean, does anyone have an umbrella? An alarm
Bill said
went
he
off.
had his thing.
Alarm went off before we actually got wet, right?
Yes.
Like the getting wet is just a representation of your failure,
Yes. Ooh, I changed the numbers. Sorry about that. Who's making shapes? You will be disqualified, Billy, with your brown or your gray coloring. Your orange coloring.
Billy would like to go investigate over there and see if there is another path. Because, like, at this
Okay.
point, did she specifically say there is 1, 2, 3, like point out it, or is it just kind of general? Okay, there's a pathway. We've seen people pass through it. Like Billy's under the impression that, like, okay, there's got to be one more, and he's just gonna be like walking the edge of the paths. Like he'll leave through say 5, and he's just kind of walking the edge, and then he'll come back in through 1 and walk the edge, and then go through 3, and then walk that. He's wandering. He's meandering.
As you walk through the area, there seem to be exactly 7 bridges in this area. There's nothing else that crosses any of the water any other place. There's some teleportation circles here and here, and there's another teleportation circle in the bar itself, but you don't seem to know how to use that necessarily.
Do they have signage saying where they go? Are teleportation circles like they'll take you anywhere, or they have point A, point B?
Point A, point B.
Do they have signage saying where point A, point B is?
Yes, they do actually.
What
These both say, this one and this one both say storage.
about the one in the center?
You can't. She's not letting you behind the bar, but you could probably assume that since there's not a kitchen readily seen, it's more than likely to a kitchen.
Billy would ask
Uh,
politely.
what would you like to ask?
So Billy will just kind of flag the bartender and be like, okay, so I've done the math. There's a trick here. Where does that teleportation circle go?
She looks down at the floor. The teleportation circle behind the bar is a fascinating aspect of the frothing flask. It serves as a portal to various locations, each with its unique charm and wonders. However, I must admit that I, as Vani, do not have complete knowledge of all destinations accessible through the circle. You see, the magical creation is part of Eb Xenothon's legacy, and he was the one who set up the destinations for the teleportation circle. Over the centuries, many locations have been added, and some may change from time to time. It is said that Eb's intentions were to encourage exploration and provide a way for visitors to experience diverse realms and cultures. To find out where the teleportation circle currently leads outside of the kitchen, you may inquire with others who have been in the circle before. We do not allow new patrons to enter into the teleportation circle.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
But presumably, if we teleported to it, that would be fine.
If you can. There is the no teleportation spells rules posted at the door.
Well, there's a few ways to do it with only crossing one walkway twice. So if we can figure out how to get across once without using a bridge, that's all the solution we need.
Theoretically, I can toss you on the other side from the other side of this.
It's
Well,
a waterfall, so
I
you
don't-
should be going through the
Oh
waterfall.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you know, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
What if we put them inside like a waterproof bag and then chuck?
I was literally just thinking that. It's like you read my mind.
Well, that's why I was asking about the umbrella, but it seems to me the alarm went off before you got wet, so it seems like
That was when you were trying to
I
cross
think-
it twice, though. So
Yeah.
perhaps,
oh, you mean not go over the bridge, go through one of the waterfalls.
indeed.
What happens if you don't make it all the way through because of the current and you get washed down? Into
Possibly
What
death,
if-
but possibly
What if
not.
one of us stands on one side and one of us stands on the other, and then we get a rope and we pass the rope through the waterfall, and then we tie the bag with Jared inside it to the top of the rope, and then we kind of pass the, the rope through, so that way Jared doesn't get lost forever in a waterproof bag.
You know what? The thing about these solutions that are so creative is that, you can almost be sure that that's not the answer, right?
But in the spirit of inquiry, there's only one way to find out.
I'm with you. Put me in a bag.
Billy definitely has a moment and like, did I say it? And looks down at his drink like, I wasn't gonna drink. Was that our con save drink, by the way?
Any drink you take is a con save.
Then I probably failed with a 9.
Any drink you take.
You did fail. How many times have you failed?
This is my first fail.
All right. You are still sober. Maybe
Really failed.
slightly warmer, but you're still sober. Anybody else have a drink at this bar yet?
I have not, no.
Nope.
Okay. I guess my next question is, does anybody have a waterproof bag?
I do not, no.
That
Not
can
unless they want to be really cold that I have on me.
Jerry's gonna turn to the bartender and say, could we borrow an empty cask?
an empty cask. I do not
Yes.
understand your questioning.
Do you have an empty cask you're not using that we could use for a bit and then give back?
Though we do serve alcohol, wine, and other distilled spirits, we do not distill or brew them here. Therefore, we do not have casks.
How do you transport them here?
Use of magic and teleportation.
Of course. But you wouldn't be teleporting casks of it now, would you?
No, sir. We typically ask directly for the suppliers to send us bottles through teleportation as needed.
Billy
Which, by the
is
way, would
going-
be the coolest thing ever for a restaurant. You're like, oh man, we're out of tomatoes. Just be like, hey, could you send us like 1 case of tomatoes? Yeah, sure. Boink.
that was
there are-
basically my job, except I had to drive.
There are many
So
possible sounds for teleportation, but none of them are boink.
Depends on what you're teleporting. Billy is taking one of the whole spirit of this pub crawl literally. He's going to find one of the paths that has like the fewest people around.
Okay.
Say 5, just for sanity's sake. He's going to walk across.
Okay.
He's going to turn around, awkwardly look around. Then he is going to get down on his hands and knees with his feet in the air, and he is going to try to crawl back through to see what happens. Pub crawl.
Either time that you pass through, the runes light up blue and let you pass through dry.
Well, I guess that's it then. So you went through 5 and came back.
Billy, like, definitely, like, kind of, he does the old man grunt when he stands up, just, and like looks around and kind of. I think I figured it out. Like, I know how we can do it. You just gotta crawl.
Crawl.
Go on
Do
then.
the-
yeah, I see what my mistake
We
was.
don't all
That
have
makes
to do
sense.
it, do we? I did the piggyback bit, so this one's on you.
I discovered
I
it. Can we
think-
not make the old man crawl again?
Right. I think Dell's the only one that hasn't done anything yet, so that's the one that makes sense.
You
I
did
played-
spend the entire last bar singing, so
Yeah. Did you not enjoy it? He says as he's going over to
Oh,
start
that's-
crawl.
huge
Was-
part of the
wasn't it a
reason why I
bad
took so long
performance, actually?
researching was I was singing along.
For curiosity, Jera would like to walk across one of the bridges, and she will go across 2,
Okay.
and then walk on her hands on the way back.
So you're going to cross through 2, and then you're going to walk on your hands on the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It lets you go across dry either way.
It's not crawling; it's just a foot thing. Piggyback should have worked.
It's also like about to cross. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, so I think the problem was like it was the siren was for me specifically because I went through it. So
Did you get in trouble with the bot again? Dell's going.
so that was the problem was the alarm went off on me and not Jera at all. So it wasn't us being sneaky.
To
was-
clarify, there were 2 jets, one aimed at you, one aimed at Jera.
Well, I don't know. We can give the crawling a shot. Have fun with that.
Oh, Dell, you
Hmm?
seem to be the one that's been chosen to try this whole thing. Which one do you want to cross through first?
He's gonna go through 6, then go up through 7,
Okay.
4, do 5,
Okay.
2,
Okay.
1, back through 1, then do
Okay.
3, crawling the whole way,
Crawling the entire way.
the entire way.
Okay.
Well, Jera is going to see him going, and she's going to be like, "Race ya!" and then she's going to just take off skipping.
While handstanding.
Well,
no,
no, she's just going to run.
Dell, you get
Mhm.
through 6, 7, 5, 4, 2, 1. You pass back through 1 crawling, and you pass through 3 dry. And as you pass through 3, a siren goes off, and you get doused with water.
Like, thanks, Bill.
Why didn't you get doused on 1 then?
I don't know. You said to crawl, but I was going to float, so same diff. Let's see. Well, now that I'm soaked anyway, let's get another plan.
Okay, well, yes, I'll get soaked again just to, verify here. And Jira will oh, I have it set to transparent. Okay. So I'll go sure like this, and then like this, and then cross 5, and then cartwheel back across 5, and out like this.
You forgot to.
Mhm.
I already went through 2.
Where are you starting?
She's got to start at the bar.
I went through
Yeah.
2 a minute ago on my hands.
That's right. She did. I remember now.
So
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You passed through, I think 7 was your last one.
And I'm not gonna walk on my hands the whole way. No acrobatics check.
No. As you pass through 7, the alarm goes off, and you get doused with water.
My first time going through 7?
No, or whichever one you ended on. I thought it was 7, but I could be wrong.
6.
6.
So it doesn't know you've failed until you've gone. Wait, but 3 wasn't our last when we did the piggybacking thing.
no, I think it just didn't like you.
It's because you're in
Yeah, that tracks.
work.
I was gonna say that tracks. The last guy didn't like me either. So
Let's see. So then, if
I promise there is a. I'm.
oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking
I know
things
there. I know there is. I'm not worried about that.
well, I was gonna like move a pool table to cover it, but I guess we'd still get hydro cannon either way. So I guess
If you were gonna do what?
cheesing it that way. Move a pool table to crawl under one of them one of the times so the waterfall, even if it was still stuck there, we could potentially get out and crawl underneath the table.
Just no crossing twice.
Dry. But even cheesing so far, we've been hydro cannon after, so I don't think that will help.
Question for the
And-
DM.
Yes, sir.
The first time we got sprayed before we had gone through 7 bridges.
Correct.
Was that because you forgot the rule, or because it was actually a different situation?
It is a different situation.
Unsolvable. It's
Well, that's probably a heck of a clue if we figure out what it means.
Don't carry each other. Don't go 2 at the same time.
Well, what did we do
Don't-
last time? We
You
went.
carried each other, and you went 2 at the same time.
well, we didn't carry each other. I carried her, but
You carried. Yeah, that is true.
So I'm going to look down at my notebook where I wrote down the exact wording of the instructions.
the exact wording is I won because I was good.
I am going to copy the rules.
I won because I was good.
I was so confident. I was like, yeah, I got this. like found the loophole.
And there's a note: my umbrella would not work because of the specific wording of the spell.
So I like lean over to the bartender and I'm like, hey, so what's the solution?
You ask, what's the solution?
Yeah, I just go to the bartender and I'm like, so what's the solution on this?
The solution is to navigate through all 7 walkways without stepping foot on the same walkway twice.
Right. So if you were going to complete this, how would you do it?
If I were to complete it, how would I do it?
The
It's a great
exact path.
question.
Tell me exactly how you would do it.
If I was going to do it, I would not be cheating by asking others for help.
Oh, it's
I know this bartender is just going to slowly evolve into Gladys from Portal. It's happening.
I did have a question. The hoses that or whatever that appeared to douse them when they came. Did they like? Where did they come from? Was it like dropped down from the ceiling, like out of the ground, or like magically appeared?
It was more like a magical thing. I think a better way to describe what it looked like was more the waterfall itself, kind of like curved.
Oh,
it-
just okay.
Yeah.
Heard that.
so
rather than
so I
like a
guess the
random
bartender.
gun popped out or something like that. It just kind of,
Mhm.
So I asked the bartender, it's like, okay, so when the siren happened and we got doused, so we got wet and we had to restart.
yes.
If we somehow not got wet doing that, would we have still been forfeited?
The rules of the game are to cross all 7 bridges and be sure not to be wet because then you will have lost.
Oh.
After
So
we get doused, are we still considered technically wet? Like, is Jera still
He's
currently
disqualified for
soaking?
the rest of the day.
Yeah. Like, are there towels? Do we need to dry off? Is this your gotcha moment?
No, I mean you're wet.
Technically, I don't think Billy is yet.
If
now I gotta pull
you
up
ask the
prestidigitation
bartender,
and see if I can dry with it.
Billy hasn't done a circuit.
you ask the bartender, and in true robot fashion, they turn to you and say, "Are you asking if douse and wet are the same thing?"
For the rules of the game, yes.
The Century Dictionary regards the meaning to thrust or plunge into water or to throw water over as douse, as a separate word of unknown origin, although admitting there may be a connection of some sort to the Middle Elvish Dawson, which is to beat forcefully. Wet, on the other hand, means moist, rainy, or liquid from the Old Common, from the Old Elvish wed, or the Old Dwarvish fodder. In other words, they do have the same sort of etymology in their wording.
Is there a magical? It seems like there's a lot of enchantments here to make the patrons comfortable. Is there a quick dry spell that is available to patrons here?
If you fail at the task, you are wet. That is your problem. It is the risk you are willing to take taking the pub crawl challenge.
Okay.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go through them again. This time I'm gonna try to leap across each walkway, each bridge, because this looks like about 5 feet.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to leap across each one.
Okay.
I am gonna cross one twice. Do you need the specific route, or
Just where are you starting?
I'm starting at the bar?
No, I mean which of the 7?
Oh, I am going to start. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna go through 2 first.
Okay. You take a running start and you leap across 2, and the waterfall does not part, and you become soaking wet, but you do cross.
Okay. That did not work.
Wait, had you been doused before?
Yes.
Yes. The only one that hasn't
When I
is
crawled.
Billy, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, Dell, you're like
Yes.
your water thing you were talking about. Like, what's that? What can you do?
I can mold space in order to create a like a disc of force that I can use to carry things around or just walk and well sit and float on. But fortunately, this is a pretty deep waterfall, so if I were to use it to try to block the water, it would fall in. And also, I haven't quite figured out how to get it higher than 3 feet off the ground. I'm working on it, but
Hmm.
there is that.
Jera is going to step up to number 7.
Okay.
Does it open?
As you step forward onto onto the bridge, yes, the runes light up blue, and it opens.
You have to step onto the bridge.
Kind of like think of it like going through the doors of like a grocery store. You have to step within a certain distance for it to register that you're there. Usually within about a step.
But he wasn't close enough with his leaping.
I think it was a timing thing. I went too fast.
Like running into an automatic door. Not that I've ever done that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can make a standing 5 foot jump. Maybe I haven't tried, but I was
While-
definitely going for a running start.
While they're doing that-
this over, and it's while I have made yet another challenge that has become insanely harder than I thought it was going to be. We are going to take a break. We got some kids to put to bed. We'll come back about 35, so 15 minutes.
My intelligence isn't at the level to state for sure that it's mathematically impossible. I just haven't come up with a solution as of yet. It does appear mathematically impossible, but I mean, a lot of things in the world seem mathematically impossible.
No Philip today. Did we know that ahead of time?
That entire time I was talking while I was muted.
I was wondering why you started recording and didn't show up.
We've had some time to think. Does anybody have any
Mhm.
questions, or do they have any further solutions they would like to try? I will say that while you're kind of sitting around pondering this, like looking around, there's other people that are trying this too. They're not doing any better than you. In fact, one guy, he got so mad, he just straight up flipped one of the pool tables over and just like stormed out. Like nobody else
yes.
seems to be getting it either. So
Jera did have an idea.
I did.
Or was that just Andrew?
Well, a couple of things. Jera is going to go over here. Gonna walk across number 6.
okay.
He's gonna take a good sniff at these teleportation circles.
They're just small runes on the ground, and there's a little plaque on the wall, wooden plaque that just says storage and has an arrow pointing down.
Is there like a button or something?
Nope.
I guess I'll go stand in one.
Okay.
Nothing happens.
Nope. You just took a step over and you're now standing on some runes.
Say open sesame.
Literally got to say the same thing.
It's been, all of 7.5 minutes. How wet would you say I currently am?
Kind of a personal question, but I mean, you're not soaked. You're like a kid at Whitewater.
So soaked?
Not quite soaked, but like you've definitely been in water recently.
Okay, well, having walked just across the bar from the bar, across number 6, Jared's gonna walk over to this waterfall and stick her hand in it.
And you do so. Your head is wet.
I said hand, but
Oh, your hand is wet.
Oh, I heard head too.
and now she's going to walk back into the center room, across number 6.
Okay. It opens as you come across the bridge.
Well, I tried the 3 things.
So then the teleportation circle is
Seems like it's just an ordinary teleportation circle. Like you'd have to use a spell.
magic. Right, back to the drawing board.
Say to the bartender, say, "Hey, asking for a friend. If I wanted to use those teleportation circles, like how would I do that?"
I will direct you to the sign that says no teleportation magic allowed.
Oh, I thought since the circle was there, like that area was fine. Okay, I'm with you now, though.
Unless you work and need access to storage. And just for clarification from your DM, the solution to this is not to get a job there so that you can use the storage circles.
So it's funny because I was asking, like, so can I apply and get today?
I appreciate that clarification, though. I really do.
Before we stray further off of the path that we already are.
But could it be a solution?
Okay, Jared's gonna go poke a pool table.
Jared just walks over. This guy is like fuming mad, storms out. And she just walks over and just boop. I mean,
How heavy is the pool table? Because I personally have spent a lot of time around pool tables, and you can't flip them very easily.
they are not your standard marble tops that you would play. They are made of oak, so they are heavy. I would say that these are probably somewhere around 300 pounds if you had to take a guess.
And the feller who just walked out, did he look like the sort of guy who can just?
He did look somewhat
pound?
like a Yorick.
Hmm.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I
looking.
I see him at our gym club. He's one of our weaker guys, but he has good spirit.
Yorick?
Yeah.
Um,
They asked if I can lift 300 pounds
well,
because I can do pull-ups. So yes.
why don't we put this pool table back where it goes after we put it across one of the walkways?
I mean, we would have to go out of our way to go to the walkway, but I'm down to go, a long path.
So where are you putting it?
Which one specifically was flipped?
The one in the center north, this one.
All right, you want it between 4 or 5?
Well, let's just put it across 5.
Bam. It's here. You're gonna crawl through the waterfall now?
Well, first I'm going to go to the bar.
Okay.
I'm going to
Make
say
this one our last one.
I'm going to say to the bartender. So while we were clarifying the difference between doused and wet, why don't we talk about the differences between bar as in a place where you get drinks and bar as in a piece of furniture at said place?
What would you like to clarify?
Well, it seems like you could start from any one of these rooms and you'd be starting at the bar. This whole place is a bar.
That is understood, but I mean specifically where I stand. This area, the bar.
Thanks for that.
No
Okay.
problem.
I'm currently at the bar. There's a pool table across 5. Does it entirely cross the walkway?
As I stated earlier, the pool tables are, drum roll, 10 feet long and 5 feet wide. So
Yeah,
yes.
boy.
So when we place the pool table in place and step away from it, does the waterfall pour onto it?
Yes.
What does it look like underneath it?
Dry.
Jera is going to ask the bartender, say, can I start over at any time?
Of course. Just let me know.
I'm starting over.
Understood. Good luck with your pub crawl challenge. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
Okay, now what's the actual path that I can do? 6. Neg debit. Okay, so 2. Is there even a solution with just crossing 5 twice? Did we pick a dumb one?
Just a moment. Let's see if you get 1, 2.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it with 5.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah. 1, 2.
Might need to move the table.
It seems like you
see.
have to cross
Might-
1, 2, or 3 twice.
Yeah, you might need to move the table. That goes out, and that goes in. That goes out, and that goes in.
You want it at
Yeah.
1, 2, or 3?
No, it's fine. Jera is going to crawl out through 5. Go across the 1 down to 3. Oh crap.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. 1, 2, and 3. I
Yeah.
think those.
I thought there might be a way to do it if you go 3 times, but
So actually, instead of like moving the one I put at 5, I'm just gonna move this one to 1 as well.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Don't forget to tell him you're starting over.
okay. I'm starting over.
Okay, good luck with your pub crawl challenge. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
Maybe Billy was right with the crawling, since you have to crawl under the pool table.
Do you? Can't you just go on top of the pool table?
No, there's water pouring down on it.
But if you crawl under the pool table, then you would be setting foot on the path.
Yeah, but
Ooh.
just my knees actually. I got skills.
But then you would need a pool table.
Apparently you would. Not gonna get wet.
Tell you what, we'll go at the same time. You go under, I'll go over.
Deal.
Yes.
Let him know that you go.
I am starting over.
Good luck with your pub crawl challenge. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
Where'd you put the other pool table? Did you put it at 1 or did you put it at another one?
There was one at 5 and there was one at 1.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I can't. This is okay. Out 6, 3, 1, back through 1, 2, 4, 5, 7.
Yeah, that works.
Are you crawling through all of them? Just out of curiosity.
I prefer to leave it ambiguous.
It really honestly doesn't make any difference. It was just more for my own.
I'm going on the pool tables.
I'm just crawling
1
under
and
the
5.
respective pool tables.
Okay. Dell, it becomes quickly clear that crossing over the pool tables doesn't seem to work because the pool tables are longer than the bridges themselves. You can't get close enough to turn off the waterfall, so you get doused the very first one you try and do. Jera, you get through all of them, and at the very last one, the signal or the siren goes off, and you get doused. But there's something different this time. The bartender does say that loud enough for you to hear, huh, very clever. No one's tried that.
So the trigger is on like the ground itself, it would seem, to get the waterfalls to. Okay.
If you guys need a hint,
Why we look like amateurs? Well, this probably isn't going to work, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Before you do that, has anyone had any thoughts about the whole one more thing? If you get wet, you'll have to start over at the beginning. It doesn't just say start over, it says start over at the beginning, doesn't it?
I think it just said start over.
Oh, you have
Or
to
you'll
start
have-
over.
Oh no,
from
it
the
does say from the beginning. What were you saying about it?
I'm just wondering if anyone's had any thoughts about that, because I checked
Not
to
a
see if
one.
getting wet outside of the context of a bridge would teleport you to the beginning. That would have been convenient.
I didn't even realize that's what you were trying to do, which tells you that it obviously was not one of the solutions.
I like to just work in mysterious ways and leave everyone to wonder usually.
That's fine. Sometimes things like that happen and it works.
Not good for group thinking, though.
So this isn't gonna work, so don't get near me when this blast happens. I'm gonna try to follow the exact path that Jared did, and then right as I cross the last one, I want to encase myself with my armor and my helmet and look down to try not to get my face wet. And then I'm going to attempt to not get wet that way and dispel my armor.
So, okay, on the last one, let me understand what you're saying. So there's two pool tables over 1 and 5. Jara finished. She went 5,
Seven
1,
was the last
3.
one.
7 was the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you crawling underneath the pool tables as well?
Yeah, yeah, only for the fact that I would get wet any other way. Unless it was wide enough for me to shimmy past them, and then I would actually shimmy past them.
No, it's the same width as the path. You
Yeah,
get
so
number
the
7 and siren goes off again and you get sprayed.
so my attempt was, I expect the spray to happen, was to my armor to potentially stop me from getting wet, and then I was gonna dispel my armor and see if that worked, and like do a ta-da while looking at the bartender.
You do exactly that. The bartender says, your task is to cross each of the walkways without setting foot on the same one twice.
Yeah.
You set foot on the same one twice.
I have an idea. I guess that means you're waiting for the idea. Me to say it. Okay. I am going to go to gate number 1. And I'm going to sit on the bridge with my feet on the bridge. And you will crawl over that pool table when you cross it again.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'll
Get
cross
wet.
it.
You will not set
No
foot on
foot.
the same bridge twice. And we will get to make our cocktail, maybe. I will be
What?
under the pool table. You will be over the pool table. It's very clever. Let's just do it.
Let's do it.
We'll skip to the end. York gets doused.
Yes, because theoretically that would have worked the first when me and you were going at the same time. But it didn't.
If you need a hint, we are
Oh,
coming.
you didn't
up on
wait
9
for me
o'clock.
to get.
I would say, yeah, you can give the hint because I lost interest in this quest a while ago.
It's
I was just trying to solve it.
Or
for
you can
fun.
boot CJ and we can do this until midnight.
no. The solution is way simpler than you guys are thinking. Way simpler. And one of you has jokingly already solved it.
I thought we did everything we did jokingly.
At the very, very beginning, within the first 3 minutes of you guys messing around with this idea, you solved it. Or one of
thing I
you.
did was like, I'll pick you up.
We did that. And we can't toss somebody because the waterfall doesn't. Well, actually, we can because you can step up to it. It wouldn't be a running jump. You could toss me across the bridge.
It's
Yeah.
even simpler.
That is the simplest thing that my brain will comprehend right there. Throwing people.
Wait, Tim in his drunken stupor has leaned forward.
He's going over his notes.
It's more stupid. I don't think we joked it, but well, we've tried everything else. So
I mean, the only thing we haven't tried was like the bag thing.
The what thing?
The bag
Oh,
thing.
The bag, the waterproof bag thing.
Yeah, I could still
Tim
try to float
specifically
across,
solved it.
but
Tim solved it, huh? Tim, you solve it. Do it again.
I apologize for you having lost interest on this. It really was supposed to have taken us like a solid 10 minutes.
Turned out how it always goes.
But then it like you guys kept coming up with different ideas, and I was like, I mean, at some point, a room of monkeys with typewriters will write Shakespeare.
I
Infinitely
legit thought you were
long.
gonna be.
Problem is, you won't
I'm
accept
not-
Shakespeare if we do write it. We have to write Dr. Seuss, apparently. So
Nope.
Well, it depends on the solution, but yeah, I'm just curious as to what the solution is.
I just like legit thought I like ruined your plan for the night, and I was like, all right, here we go, next bar.
If any DM would be fine with you completely ruining their plans, it's got to be me, because it happens with alarming frequency. And then I do something like I'll set up this huge battle for you guys, and it takes you like a whole 5 minutes to get through it all. I give you one little pub crawl challenge, and it takes you 3 hours. It's just the way D&D works. Tim, you were the one that solved this. I don't think you were meaning to solve it, but you did solve it.
Yay! What was my solution?
The
Currently,
solution,
go for
the
it.
solution I have left on this map the entire time.
You fucker.
oh, for
I'm
crying out
leaving.
loud. But you
yeah.
said it was 10
isn't-
feet long. Okay, but those aren't 10 feet long on the map. You know, we can't.
They are not.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought that was waterfall. Still, or was waterfall
Map.
just a circle?
There is waterfall there. You are correct.
Okay, well, Yorick is going to push the pool table across this 10-foot wide waterfall. And we're going to go out to one under the pool table. Maybe not out to. What's the answer?
But if you put a pool table across the way, then
Okay,
how
out
would
to
you get across? Unless you put a pool table on top of a pool table, then you could. But they're 300 pounds.
And
I mean, doing the one maybe, but then putting the other one on the other one with the waterfall, putting pressure on top of
Okay,
you.
is
That's
this
why I
like
didn't suggest it.
is waterfall falling into a chasm?
No,
No, like
falling
there's
into a
just-
pool of water. You just don't know how deep the water is. Nobody's gotten in it.
well,
Well, that was my misunderstanding. I thought the water was a lot deeper.
yeah, we were.
I thought that was stated. That was my bad.
I was kind of thinking it was just like infinite deepness. Okay,
I know that I specifically said it is a pool of water. You do not know the depth.
You did say a pool of water. You did. That's true.
I have it recorded too. So that is your solution. All you had to do was make an 8th bridge. That was it. The water is only 6 inches deep.
how can you have a rushing? It's magic.
I'm still thinking about the pool table on top of the other pool table though. Like that sounds pretty heavy to me.
You don't actually have to put a pool table on top of a pool table, do you?
Well, how are you gonna get across the
You just
way
push it
without
into
getting
the
wet?
water.
There are a couple of different ways. One
But
of
it's
the
a
other ways,
waterfall.
like you can make a makeshift bridge. One of the billiard tables is, or a couple of the billiard tables. There's also other smaller tables. The chairs around the edges I described as kind of being egg shaped. You could have just built a bridge with the pool table and then walked across it with one of the chairs over you, which is where Yorick's armor would have worked. In that case, the problem was that you did set foot on the same bridge twice. That was the only reason you had failed that. The first time you had failed when you carried Jera was because every person that crosses the bridge has to touch the bridge for the water to allow them to cross. So if you have 2 people that cross at the same time, it's going to spray one of them, or it's not going to open at all. And so that's what you had tried to do with Jera, throwing Jera over. Jera in a waterproof bag would have worked. If you'd thrown her like between two of the bridges, like like in one of the other
Yeah.
spaces.
Honestly, why don't we have a waterproof Jera bag by now?
I feel like you're gonna have one now.
Like a tool we should have in our arsenal.
It's waterproof. Does that mean it's oxygen proof?
By design.
Well, that's
We-
probably why we don't have
we
a bag.
we only needed to not breathe for like 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Theoretically, unless that water ended up being deeper than you thought it was and you dropped her.
I'm like,
Because I don't know if I fully trust any of you to catch a bag of Jera.
strength is not my forte. No.
I mean, if we put her in a bag of holding, the weight wouldn't have changed of the bag, so that would have been just fine.
This is true.
I don't have a
I
bag
could
of-
have threw it, and I even made the comment of my bag of colding I had on me, so she just would have been cold.
all
That
of our
would work.
plans still involved going over the bridge though. Like I thought that if we were putting me in a waterproof bag, then we would just be taking me across the bridge.
We would have thrown you through the waterfall.
Yeah,
On
through
one
the
of
waterfall, not one of the
Yeah.
not across the bridge.
Yeah, I definitely thought that was instant death. I would have resisted that. I guess like I just had the lava falls from the Incredibles in my mind, like
Mm-hmm.
and it goes down forever,
That's similar to what I was thinking as well. Yeah, that's why I didn't use the.
And if you went to push a pool table into that, it would just fall in.
It just.
I mean, technically, that volume of water, there's no way it could be managed in such a shallow place anyway. Like, it would have to have some sort of depth somewhere to go.